Hello my gorgeous plant people, welcome back to Reading Mindfully. My name is Yana and today we are doing some repotting, so let's just jump right into it. Hey guys, like I said, so today we are doing some repotting, and actually this is the second time I'm recording this video, and so you'll notice that some of the plants are actually going to pop out a lot easier than they technically would. And it's just because I'm recording this because the first time we took this take, I had some wardrobe malfunctions. So like I said, we're just going to go ahead and do some repotting. And what I like to do when I repot is do my bigger plants first, because I like to do the domino effect and start big and work my way small, so that way I can reuse my pots for my smaller plants. And so the first plant I'm going to do is my variegated burl marks, and you can pretty much tell that this plant needs to be in a bigger pot. When I first did the take of this plant, I had a big root coming out of the bottom, so that's another indication that this plant needs to be repotted. It is already an 8-inch, so I am going to bump it up in a 10-inch pot. And let's just start putting some soil in the bottom. I won't put too much soil in the bottom because I don't like it to be too high, so that way when I do water the plant it doesn't make a mess. And as you can see, we have some nice healthy roots here, some nice chunky roots. These were the ones that were coming out of the bottom, the drainage hole. And I think that's as much dirt that I want to put in the bottom of the pot. And the burl marks is actually a really fast growing philodendron in my experience, especially if you give it a good amount of light. I've noticed that the green variety and the variegated variety grow especially quickly. Now, when I did the first take of this video, I was talking about how I was thinking about cutting this plant, but as I was looking at the stems, I noticed that both the green and variegation come off of the opposite stems. So I was looking and I saw that some of the green leaves were coming off of variegated stems and the variegated leaves were coming off of the green stems. So I just decided not to cut this plant back to see if I could get more variegation. I also like the way that it is growing in, so that was another reason why I decided to not cut it back at this time. But you know, if I ever do change my mind about cutting it to get more variegation, I will let you guys know, and I will definitely make a video about it as well. But for now, I'm just going to keep it the way it is. And then that's how it looks. So now it looks actually like it does fit the pot size, or the plant is comparable to the pot size. Before it did look like it was outgrowing the pot, so it did look a little silly. The next one I'm going to do is another one that has done a lot of growing over the summer. This is my philodendron Billietiae, and I showed this in the first take of this video, but one of the indications that it needs to be repotted is the roots coming off of the pot, the roots growing over the sides. There are various plants that do that over time. The rubber tree is another plant that does it. Mine do it quite frequently, and that's definitely an indication that it's time to repot. And so this one has a huge root ball, if you could see, and it also has some nice chunky roots. I'm going to try to sit it in the middle as best I can, because I probably will be ending up staking this one in the future, just so I can have some more support and stability. This was one of the fewer philodendrons that actually enjoyed being outside. It wasn't too hot for the plant. A lot of my other philodendrons did not enjoy the heat at all. But I was surprised at how well this one did. I also have a new growth that's coming out here. Let me get where you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm also going to stick some of these roots back in the pot. Like I said, I have this new growth here, if you can see that. And you just want to make sure you push down on the sides gently, just so you can get rid of any air pockets. So you can see once you push the soil down, you can fit quite a bit of soil in here. There we go. And that is the philodendron bilietiae. The next plant that I'm going to do, my philodendron fibrosum. As you can see, this one did a lot of growing. This is the size of the leaf when I first got the plant. Then it started growing bigger leaves, and then this is the last leaf that I've gotten. This one is quite a thirsty plant in my experience. It drinks a lot of water. And something that I'm researching is the care for furry philodendron, because I've noticed, at least in my collection, my furry and fuzzy philodendron tend to be a little bit more like water-loving plants. I've had to water them a lot more. And what I also noticed that when I'm watering them more, they have less of a attraction for spider mites. But I'm doing a little bit more research on that, like I said, because a lot of care guides for philodendrons say to water between, letting the plant dry out between waterings. But I noticed some philodendrons do not like that. So, of course, with plant care, it is a lot of trial and error. Of course, you want to do your research, but when it comes down to it, it really is just a lot of trial and error. You have to do what's best for you and your plant. And that is something that you learn on your plant journey. This one may be a plant that I end up staking in the future, just because it is a climbing plant. So it is going to get, taller and taller. But that's what it will look like if I stake it. And so I am considering doing that. But this is what my fibrosum looks like for now. I also noticed that a lot of people import their fibrosums from other countries. I myself did that as well. I imported mine from Ecuador, and they are asking questions on how to rehab that. So that might be another video that I do in the future, because I also had to rehab mine, and I actually almost lost mine. So yeah. The next one we have is my ficus altissima. This is one of my favorite plants. Look how beautiful it is. It did so much growing this year. And I'm just amazed at how glossy and shiny the leaves come out. That one I actually thought I was gonna lose because I had ordered it early in the year. I think it was like March or April, and it was still cold. And when it came in, because it got lost in the mail for like 2 weeks, by the time it got to my house, it just looked like it was gonna die. But I held out faith, and here we are. You can see that this one was so root bound. Look at that. And this root was coming out of the bottom. I actually almost plucked this off because I thought it was some kind of weed or bug. I almost freaked out. It's a good thing I didn't, because I would have pulled the whole root off. Then I would have felt really stupid. But yeah, that looks good. Rubber trees grow so fast for me, especially when I put them outside. They just grow like weeds. And that's why I always recommend that if you have any plant at all, the rubber tree is definitely one that would benefit from being outside. I've had great results from putting my rubber trees outside. The only thing is they grow extremely fast, and you either have to keep potting them, or you have to end up finding somewhere for them to be able to stay in your home. That's the only thing that's like one of the downsides, but to me it's worth the growth. Because at least rubber trees in my area, they are pretty pricey. So when I can grow them out, it makes it worth the price. And that's where we go. And this is what the altissima looks like. You can see that looks like it fits the pot a little bit better. And hopefully I won't have to water the plants so much, because I do have to water my plants a lot when the pots are too small, of course. But like, as you can see with the other plant that I showed, the roots do grow up on the surface of the pot when it is running out of space, as you can see there. And then it also has it has this root coming out of the bottom. And this one I forgot to mention. This one is my ficus altissima. No, this is my ficus aldry. And this one is also quite root bound. Also, I got asked a question about what insecticide soap or spray that I use when my plants come back inside. I use Captain Jack's. That is my favorite spray to use. All my products I use are always linked down in my description. If you guys ever have a question, I also got asked if I change the soil when I bring my plants back inside. The answer is no, because that would be so expensive if I were to do that. It would be so expensive to do that. I didn't have all my plants outside. I probably had about half my plants or 2/3 of my plants. So for reference, I have probably about 120 plants at this moment. And so if I put 1/3 or half of my plants outside, and then as I brought them in, I were to change all the soil, that would just be too expensive. Too expensive. As well as that would not be something that I would be up to doing. It's already enough work repotting the plants and wiping all the leaves off, spraying them all down, looking for pests. But if I was to change out all of the soil, and really if you change out all the soil, you would want to get all the soil off of the old one, so then you'd probably would have to spray the soil off of the old plant, and that would just be way too much work. I would have to do it in my bathroom because I don't have a hose, which would make it a lot easier. But I live in an apartment complex and we don't have a hose hookup. So no, as well as I have a lot of bigger plants. So no, that just would not be financially feasible. And I'm too lazy to do that. Like I said, that would be a lot of work. And I put my plants outside for, I think this was my 3rd year putting my plants outside, and I haven't had a major issue with pests like that, so I don't feel like that would be very necessary. I'm just gonna keep an eye on my plants, and then like I said before, I showed you guys what I do like to do with my plants when I do bring them in. But I did want to go ahead and address those 2 questions as well. But yeah, this is what they look like. This plant is so gorgeous. I love, love, love the leaf shape of this one. And they just come out softer and softer. But yeah, so those are all the plants I need to repot for this round. I also need to do my bigger ficus, which they're already in a 12-inch pot, so they need to be bumped up to 14. Whenever I go up to 14, the other plants I need to do are I think I need to do a couple more philodendron, and I need to do my big ficus. My ficus are already in a 12-inch, so I need to bump them up to a 14. Whenever I do 14, I switch to plastic terracottas. That way it's a lot lighter for me. And so that's when I switch out of clay. But until then, another question I got is, do I put all my plants in terracotta? Yes, I like to have all my plants in terracotta unless the plant is new and I haven't gotten around to potting it up yet. Most of the time I leave my plants in the pots, whatever pot they came in, at least for a week. Sometimes I wait a lot longer if I haven't gone pot shopping. I haven't been pot shopping in a really long time. And as well as last year we didn't even have pots, so that's why a lot of my plants didn't have pots for the longest time, is because we had a terracotta shortage. And so now I have to go back and make sure that all my plants are in pots and even have the correct size saucers, because we really ran out of saucers too, so I had to make do with what we had at the time. But yeah, so I like all my plants to be in terracotta unless they're I just got them from the nursery, or I just haven't gotten around to potting them, or unless they're in a 14-inch, and then I do like a plastic terracotta. But yeah, so those are all of the plants that I had to repot for today. You guys will be seeing a lot more repottings coming up because I have a lot of plants that need to be bumped up. But as always, please like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you guys so much. And comment down below if you guys are repotting any of your plants. especially if you had them outside, or maybe if you just were potting any other plants. I am just interested to know. But as always, I just want to thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.